wrong page, in probably the most profound words ever heard in the integral to humanity film series Star Wars. Let me just say, hello there. Best words of the entire franchise. Hello everyone, my name is Tom Colohue. I'm a pro wrestling streamer and news reporter and journalist, freelance journalist, and all around just lover of pro wrestling. I am going to be guiding you through a preview for tonight's WWE Raw, which begins in short order. Well, 7 hours. It's not quite short order. It's 7 hours, so it's not the shortest of order. However, it's fairly short order considering what's going to be coming. So I'm Tom Colohue, and today we're talking about WWE Raw. We will also be doing Ask Me Anything, so if you have any questions, by all means jump in the chat, say hi, let me know what you're thinking. I know there were a few questions I couldn't ask during the show yesterday, which I'll get to in a little bit, but thank you everyone who did ask them. Yesterday was an extremely successful stream, to a point whereby if we can keep doing streams like that, we'll be at 1,000 subscribers in no time, because we gained 5 subscribers as well as 36 hours of watch time. We only need 11 hours of watch time a day in order to monetize. We got 36. That's pretty damn good. We already have a couple of people here. The user saying hi mate, welcome. Supersonic saying good afternoon, and a good afternoon to you. AK Ray here as well saying hey there Tom. Hello everybody, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. If you missed yesterday's show, we broke down what actually happened between WWE SmackDown and AEW Rampage. We broke that down in severe detail, talking about the ratings, the viewership, my expected final numbers based on the numbers that we had so far, as well as smaller, lesser known numbers such as the YouTube subscriber gain and the retention rate, which I do believe is the main issue that AEW are having. I won't be going into much more detail about AEW during this show. We have more AEW news later on spoiler warning, though I do want to say a quick thank you to 2 people, Rob's Pippin and J3RM, who both joined over on Twitch yesterday as well. That is a big help to our growth on Twitch. Of course, I understand that I'm running both kind of simultaneously at the moment, but it's been very, very effective. So huge thanks to everyone who's appearing on both and hitting like and hitting subscribe and all that jazz. Hello, Ed. How are you, mate? Should I call you Edward Fries? That sounds like a type of spice. You know, you'd order that at deli. Can I get some Edward Fries, please? To be fair, good name, Edward. So, let's jump into it. And in the meantime, if you guys have any questions, by all means ask away, and I will endeavour to answer them as soon as I find a natural break in what we're covering. So let's talk Raw. And the big moment for tonight's Raw, the planned main event, is once again a women's main event. The women have dominated Raw and SmackDown recently, at least when it comes to the main event section, but not so much when it comes to in the middle of the show. Tonight's main event will be Charlotte Flair versus Bianca Belair, a rematch that we have seen previously, but this time it's for the Raw Women's Championship. Bianca Belair technically not even on Raw yet. They are playing fast and loose with their own rules when it comes to Raw and SmackDown at the minute, but this will be the last Raw, and in fact the last show of these current incarnations. After this, as they go home to WWE Crown Jewel 2021, the next step is the end of the draft. The draft comes into play come Friday. A Friday in which we will still see many people who are on Raw, and then a following Monday where we'll still see many people who are on SmackDown. The reason that we are having a Raw Women's Championship tonight is to create the impression that Bianca Belair or Sasha Banks have a chance of winning the triple threat in Saudi Arabia. What I will say is that firstly, they don't have any chance of winning in Saudi Arabia. Sasha Banks in particular, no chance of winning that SmackDown Women's Championship. But what I do want to say, as with yesterday, little tiny scoopsy, there are people considering the idea in WWE of trying to get the women's triple threat as the main event at Crown Jewel. They are trying to. They don't necessarily believe they will succeed because it's Saudi Arabia, but they're still trying to. So keep an eye on that. As regards the match tonight, Charlotte Flair, I don't see her losing the Raw Women's Championship. Even if she does lose it to Bianca Belair, that just means there's going to be some sort of trade, and it kind of plays a hand that, oh, Sasha Banks is definitely going to win. Either way, you're essentially giving away the result by doing so. At least at the moment, we could be in a situation whereby at least one of Becky Lynch or Bianca Belair wins, as they are both going to Raw, and Sasha Banks thus has no chance. But if Bianca Belair wins, it then has to be Sasha Banks who picks up the win. Has to be. So really, this match is all about trying to create a little bit of tension, all of which will be a little bit fake. We will see Sasha Banks, we will see Becky Lynch, we will see overbooking, as essentially we've seen for the past 3-4 weeks on both shows. It's going to be a magnificent mess is basically what I'm trying to say. Just a magnificent mess in all the best of ways. AK Ray says, as you are Tom, who is Jerry for you? Well, I can't think personally of an annoying little shit who keeps getting one over on me. I mean, I've had dogs before. That kind of works. Okay, there is someone who's an annoying little shit who I keep losing every single possible battle to. That's all I'm saying. Anand, don't know why you attracted that. It looked like a question. By all means, rephrase it and come back. AK says, even if it's not Saudi, Brock versus Reigns will be the main event on any show it's on because Roman goes last. That's true. As I say, it's the consideration. They are trying to make it happen, but it depends who is trying. That's the thing. It's a creative team concept at the minute. It's a creative team trying to make it. But right now, it may be a case that they're just going to sort of protect the hosts a little bit more. It says, honestly, I don't think that the triple threat is interesting enough to main event over Lesnar versus Roman for me from a story perspective. And I get what you're saying. Roman and Lesnar has definitely, Reigns and Lesnar has definitely been compelling. The acting of Paul Heyman, the facial expressions of Paul Heyman have just made it vastly more interesting than anything else that WWE has been putting out recently. And I've just really, really enjoyed it. When the WWE puts out, and they puts out right, they puts out good. Anand says, hey Tom, whom do you think Rhea and Nikki Ash will lose the Women's Tag Team Championships to? I don't think WWE have built or given any women's tag teams a push to challenge Rhea and Nikki for the title. That's true, they have not pushed any women's tag teams, and the main reason for that is because there are no women's tag teams anymore. Natalya and Tamina have been broken up. Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox have been broken up. So that basically leaves a call-up for Io Shirai and Zoe Stark, which they're not really planning because they also need women's tag teams in NXT. So the whole thing is a bit of a mess. They're planning to basically start again with women's tag team wrestling after Survivor Series, but that's a way away now. And I feel they're basically taking a little bit too long to actually make it happen. Ed is saying, any update on Rhea's title and gear that went missing yesterday? No update at this point. Whoever has managed to grab it do not know what they have, or at least have chosen not to report it. Rhea Ripley wrestled yesterday in Damian Priest's trousers, which looked pretty good. And honestly, if she hadn't said they were Damian Priest trousers, I would never have known. Genuinely. Which I don't know, I think that's pretty cool. I personally think that's pretty cool. What can I say? What else have we got planned for WWE Raw? So I've covered that. We have Big E and Drew McIntyre taking on Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. Again. And once again, the WWE's booked this as, can they coexist? We get annoyed at rematches. How about the same angle week in, week out, day in, day out? Just constantly. On both shows at this point, we're just getting the same angle non-stop, and it is infuriating to me. It is absolutely infuriating to me that we are getting the same thing so many times. They could do so much more with Big E and Drew McIntyre. This could be like just old-fashioned tug-of-war, arm wrestling, silly little stuff like that. But instead, it's just tag team after tag team after tag team getting destroyed by Big E and Drew McIntyre, and then, oh no, it's too tense. It seems clear to me, and we did know this ahead of time, the Big E Championship win came earlier than it was supposed to. It was supposed to come with the draft, but it came too early. And the end result is that they haven't really had anything actually planned for him. They haven't planned anything for Big E. So essentially, they're trying to make it up as they go along here in a way that is at least compelling and interesting. You tell me whether you feel that they've succeeded in doing that, because it's not an easy job to do, to just sort of create someone's entire championship run from scratch. And I don't think they're doing great at it. True, Ed, they kind of work in that regard. I believe they're both taken, but it's still pretty cool. AK says, love to see Randy and Bron Breakker's ring gear. That's an interesting thing you've said there, AK Ray. It would be strange. That seems to be what you're going for, but it would definitely be strange. And hi, Riff, how you doing, man? Anan says, Rhea's gear and title missing can be part of a storyline, or is this a pure accident? It is not kayfabe. It is entirely real. Her gear was taken. I don't know if we can definitely say stolen, because if you have a similar bag at an airport, you may take the wrong bag accidentally. But it still looks like it's been taken, at the very least, and Rhea Ripley, unfortunately, not likely to get it back. Noob says, if Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks and Shayna Baszler are the top heels on SmackDown Women's Division, it seems like SmackDown isn't building any top baby faces, and they're not. They're outright not building any top baby faces, which means that there's a route to the top for someone like Naomi. If, for example, Shayna Baszler is the next SmackDown Women's Champion, let's say she defeats Charlotte Flair in the main event of Night 1 of WrestleMania or something like that. Naomi already has a storyline with Shayna Baszler, and in fact could still use Sonya Deville en route to it. So, for example, at WrestleMania you could have Shayna versus Charlotte and also Naomi versus Sonya. I'd like that. I'd very much like that. The logical follow-up there is Naomi versus Shayna. So Naomi could get a very good face push. It's also possible she'll end up in the bloodline and we'll have heel, 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 heel. It's an interesting time to be a face in the women's division. It really is. Riff says, has AEW broke the stable of Mox, Kingston, Darby and Sting? No, but there is some general faction fatigue. So they're essentially letting them drift apart a little bit with the intention of bringing them back later on when there's been less focus on factions. And Anne says, update on Nia Jax's injury. There is no update. There's no update at all on Nia Jax's injury. She's still hurt and they don't know when she's going to be back. It's a rough expectation. They're not writing anything for her or planning anything for her because they don't see her coming back immediately or anytime particularly soon. Now that she's on a separate brand from Shayna Baszler as well, there isn't an obvious storyline, so they will wait for an ideal storyline to bring her back as well. So Nia Jax could be out for a while yet. Jason Wedge, welcome to the show. Says, I would have added Charlotte to the match at Crown Jewel, make it a fatal four-way match in a two-fall match. First fall for the SmackDown Women's Championship and the second for the Raw Women's Championship. That's a good idea, Jason. I like that. Now, previously, a lot of people have pitched, oh, we'll throw Charlotte in and make it winner-take-all. But there aren't any actual winners in a winner-take-all environment. Yes, one person has two belts, but then either Raw or SmackDown lose, and all of the fans lose. Having it two-fall, I think that works. I strongly remember the Eurocontinental Championship two falls match between Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho. That was a great match. And I love that Kurt Angle lost both championships without ever being pinned. It was just very, very good storytelling. Riff says, should AEW create their own Hall of Fame to commemorate the legend of the professional wrestling in the future? They may consider doing so. I don't think they'll do so yet, and I feel it's more likely they will do so when people have. I knew you'd pick that up, Ed. I knew you'd pick that up. I did. I think eventually when it comes to Hall of Fame, AEW are waiting for people to be worthy of any sort of AEW Hall of Fame. Because after 2 years or so, it's not enough so far. AK says, rather than tag teaming, Big E and Drew can have singles matches with Ziggler and Rude respectively. Both matches have history. They do, but apparently it's all about that tension. But can they coexist? That's the thing we need to consider. Next time I have a guest on this show, I'm going to spend the entire time just saying, can we coexist? Because it'll be funny. No, Riff. Charlotte should not enter the men's division. There is no reason to do that. Though I think she could definitely beat up quite a few of the men. Anand says, do you think AEW created too many factions? That's why they are easing out these factions now. Not necessarily, no. I think we get too many factions on TV at once, though. It is faction versus faction, and then later on you get a promo from a faction, and then members of a faction take on members of another faction. You get stuck. You get stuck. Now, the way New Japan do this is very good. Almost everyone is one of 4 factions, but you still get plenty of inter-faction wrestling. That's the big difference when it comes to New Japan. AEW don't do that. And they need, I feel, to focus on their key factions and break a few of these up. However, if they start breaking up factions, a lot of people are not going to get TV time. If you miss spoiler warning on Friday, you likely won't be aware that quite a lot of people in AEW are about to have their contracts run out. So contract negotiations have started in AEW, and the whole point of these is to make sure that the people there, the originals per se, whose contracts are running out, stick around. That said, the money on offer isn't great because they've had to give a lot of money to people like CM Punk, Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole. It's a very interesting time for AEW. And when it comes to factions, that's kind of the only way they've been able to get people regularly on TV. Before continuing with the questions, I would just like to say, if you haven't clicked like yet, that little thumbs up button can make a massive difference, and I implore you to do so. I would really personally appreciate it. The show that we did last night went for about an hour and 20 minutes. It had a total watch time of 38 hours when all was said and done, which is absolutely incredible, and 21 likes. As with all of the streams that we do, every like can potentially increase the amount of viewers that we have on that stream, which increases the potential for subscribers and the potential for people to stick around long term. We gained 5 subscribers yesterday. 5 subscribers. That's a pretty big number considering that we don't even have 800 yet. You know, we're rapidly approaching 750, but we're not quite there. We're doing very, very well, and that's down to all of you who click like, all of you who clicked subscribe, all of you who share the streams that we do on Twitch and on YouTube. You guys are really making this work for me, and I will never stop being grateful for that. Batman says, where does Bianca Belair go after Becky? I feel there's a number of feuds in Bianca Belair's future a bit lower down the Raw card. I feel we'll see Bliss versus Becky coming at some point soon. I think there's a Nia Jax Bianca Belair feud in the offing in the near future that honestly I'm quite excited for, because I know the WWE want the image of Bianca Belair to slam Nia Jax. It's one of the reasons I was predicting Bianca Belair going to Raw in the draft. Makes sense to me. But there's a number of other people slightly lower down, Tamina for example, who Bianca Belair could do good work against. Noob says, if Naomi is going to join the Bloodline, which is theorized and rumored by a number of people who saw the interview that Rick Ucchino did with Paul Heyman, if Naomi is going to join the Bloodline, then SmackDown's women's division is nothing but heel central. Either WWE bring Asuka back or bring a top babyface from NXT. Both of those are possible. Asuka will definitely be returning sooner rather than later, and she will be returning as a babyface. So I can definitely see her doing well in that division. In addition, if you're someone like Toni Storm, now's the time. If you can get some positive attention on yourself as Toni Storm, you've basically only got opponents in every possible division, every possible area. Everywhere you look, there's a feud you can have. You must be able to get TV time. If you are Toni Storm right now, there is no one else for the heels to go up against. So it's essentially Naomi or bust at this point. Riffing says, what happened with Marty Scurll? Well, I believe what happened to Marty Scurll is speaking out. Speaking out happened to Marty Scurll. He's been quietly brought back from Ring of Honor to New Japan, very quietly indeed, and he's been brought back in such a manner that makes me wonder why I bother watching it. Yeah. Riff says, why is Saurav Avinder's share from NXT has not been called up with his partner Veer? Because they don't believe he is ready. Essentially, it boils down to that. If they don't believe that someone is ready, they will be staying on NXT. I cannot, AK. I've actually not watched it all the way through that many times. And certainly there's a lot of numbers in it, so it's very tricky to keep track of. Well, thank you for asking. If anyone can do the Dynamath promo, then at some point I'll definitely get you on the show so that you can do it in its entirety. Derek McDonald, welcome to the show, mate. Is there hope for Ricochet on SmackDown, or is he destined to leave once his contract is up? Honestly, I think the move to SmackDown is very good for Ricochet. Once again, SmackDown is very heel heavy. So I think, other than Drew McIntyre, you haven't really got anyone to go against Roman. I'd give Ricochet a month-long program. I'd give him the match at Royal Rumble against Roman Reigns. I think Ricochet versus Shinsuke Nakamura could be massive, massive quality, and potentially could lead Ricochet straight to that Intercontinental Championship. I said Universal. Straight to that Intercontinental Championship. I think there's a lot of potential for Ricochet right now. Much like Tony Storm, he's in a position whereby in his division there aren't many faces. So all he needs is some positive attention and he'll get pushed. Riff says, I think that Angelo Dawkins will do the same thing that Big Cass and Tucker Knight have done. He'll be the one who breaks the Street Profits. I don't think we're there yet. I really don't. I think the Street Profits have a lot of life left in them. And I certainly wouldn't be breaking them up anytime soon. That said, logically, of the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins is the Marty Jannetty. That is general consensus, unfortunately for him. But it is consensus. Anand says a bit off topic. There is no topic here, Anand. I know we're doing a Raw preview, but this is a live stream. This is Ask Me Anything. You ask the questions and I'll do anything I can to answer them. We have seen the likes of Chris Jericho, Bryan Danielson had Hall of Fame worthy careers in WWE. Now since they've gone to AEW, will WWE honour them with Hall of Fame in the future, or is that opportunity gone? No, the WWE are still more than happy to induct people into the Hall of Fame. They in fact have spoken to Jericho about this in the past before realising that Jericho planned to continue with AEW. Now, when it comes to Bryan Danielson, he will definitely be involved as well. The WWE will be bringing people into the Hall of Fame when they believe their careers are coming to an end. And I do feel both of those names you mentioned will be honoured, as will Jon Moxley. As Ed says, one of the two in the show is the one who leaked the Keith Lee photo. Yep, the WWE really not happy with that one. Batman says, do you think WWE want to do Bianca versus Becky later down the line so she can win the Raw Women's Championship? I do think they're going to have that feud. I don't think it will be later down the line, and I do think Bianca will be losing it. However, I do think maybe SummerSlam next year, Bianca Belair will win the championship again and get back to that top level. I don't think they'll do it yet, and I think it's a good thing that they won't do it yet. You can over-push people. And I think Bianca Belair's been pushed very smartly, very cleverly. Logically, it makes a lot of sense to me, at least, to have Bianca Belair take a little time away from the championship so that people don't turn on her the way that they do against the big names. Ed is suggesting Ricochet versus Swerve. Absolutely. How fun would that be? Swerve adds so much to this SmackDown division. You've got Nakamura Swerve that I'm really hyped for. You've also got Ricochet Swerve. How about Ricochet Nakamura Swerve? Give me that triple threat. There's a full-on SmackDown 6 vibe about what's going on in WWE SmackDown at the moment. Rick says, I think it'll be hilarious if we get a funny Ted Turner cameo in AEW. We will not. He was not happy with what Tony Khan said. AK says, I don't trust WWE with Ricochet. Remember when he got his chance against Lesnar? Great video package and an under 2-minute squash. Yeah, that was a bad moment. It was a squash. However, Ricochet wasn't utterly destroyed for the rest of his career. He's still been involved. He worked with AJ Styles. He was a US champion, I believe. He's now in a division where I feel they could use him extremely well. He competed against Sheamus and showed a difference in his character there, and I really enjoyed that feud. So I think there's good to come for Ricochet. I don't think we're there yet, but I think there is good to come. Jason says, do you see WWE bringing the bar back together? Actually, I do. I don't think they'll do it immediately. I think Cesaro is another one who's kind of needed a little bit. I think logically, Cesaro swerves another possibility. I think we're going to get another Sheamus versus Cesaro feud, however brief it may be, and then a Shinsuke versus Sheamus feud. I think the fact that both Sheamus and Cesaro are currently waiting for that one championship they've missed, the Intercontinental Championship. They are literally both agreed that they are racing for that championship, by the way. I got that from Cesaro in an interview over here in the UK a couple of years ago. The fact that they're both racing for that championship, imagine that triple threat. Nakamura, Sheamus, and Cesaro. There's good stuff coming. Why, hello, person using the name Ronda Rousey. Clearly you're a big fan. Welcome to the show. Riff says, does Kevin Nash know who Batista is? He does, yes. He does. They know each other moderately well. They definitely do. Tanner says, Tom Colohue. I need to use my personal ring announcer, mate. You're made for it. For anyone who has not done so yet, please do consider clicking that like button. That little thumbs up can make a massive difference to the viewership of this show and the watch time, which is what I need at the moment in order to get to a point where I can monetize YouTube. Once YouTube is monetized, my focus will be entirely on creating content that you guys are interested in. More of this, and you guys won't have to pay a penny for me to get paid. Just by being here and watching the show, I will be gaining income. So please, if you haven't yet clicked like, and if you're here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do consider it. Anand says, we've seen tag teams like the Usos, the New Day, the Bar, and their success. Do you think we have any more new tag teams achieving this kind of success, considering how WWE is booking tag teams nowadays? To be fair, when you say nowadays, all of those teams are relatively recent. I think the Viking Raiders are in a potentially very good spot. I think we could see McIntyre and the Viking Raiders reunite against the Bloodline. That could be great fun. I think Viking Raiders versus Sheamus and Cesaro, if they eventually do that, could be great as well. So for me, Viking Raiders versus Usos, I've been waiting for that for a while. That could be great fun. And I think logically, that's the next big tag team feud. Mohammed says, going for the EST. You think Bianca's going to win the match? Interesting. I don't personally see that, but by all means. Batman says, do you think WWE want to do Bianca versus Charlotte? Why do you think the WWE want to do Bianca versus Charlotte again? They are creating tension. They are creating the idea that, oh, Charlotte might lose and then Sasha Banks might have a chance of winning a Crown Jewel. They're trying to hide the fact that Becky Lynch is the obvious winner at Crown Jewel. They're just trying to tease the match out a little bit. Speak of the devil indeed, noob. Steve, how you doing, man? There's what's happening, Tom. Hope you're keeping well, but I've been doing very well. Thank you, Steve. Glad to see you. I know you've just come off stream yourself. I saw you were booked for a 5 o'clock stream. I've got it right here in my tabs, so that after this show, when I go down to eat, I'll just leave that on for the watch time and just let you take that watch time and the like along the way. If anyone hasn't followed Steve for SDW's wrestling channel, he does Q&As and lots of wrestling news and fantasy booking that you can check out. He's a bigger channel than I am, and I really hope that you can give him the time of day that you guys give me as well. Thank you. And Riv says, I think that Tony Khan is planning to bring back All In as a super mega cross-promotional pay-per-view of Impact, New Japan, Ring of Honor, when they'll start the rest, and all the promotions in the indies outside of WWE. Could be fun. Could definitely be fun. I don't know if that's the plan, but I know that's the dream. I also know that I really want to see Jay White wrestling Kenny Omega again. Or just Jay White wrestling in general. I like Jay White, alright? I'm a big knife pervert guy. Jason says, Shayna Baszler could win the Women's Championship, destroying everyone on SmackDown, giving her a big push to put her against Ronda if she returns at WrestleMania. I think that is basically the plan. I don't think Ronda will return at WrestleMania, but I do think Shayna Baszler will run through everyone en route to taking the championship from Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. After that, if you haven't already, please do check out my video here on YouTube about Ronda Rousey's return schedule. I have put a little something on YouTube about it that you can check out. In fact, I'll go and get the video. I can literally just go and link the video for you guys so that you can check it out. That's the beauty of the brand new PC. I can now just go and look and find things. From 6 days ago, copy link, stick it in there. So if you want to learn more about Ronda Rousey, right there in that YouTube video, and please remember to click like and comment if you can as well. That's a big help to the growth of the channel. Riff says, do you think that Charlotte will have the power to defeat Lesnar or Roman? Roman maybe. Lesnar may. To be fair, that's the thing. Charlotte Flair is a powerful woman. She could physically throw them about. That said, Brock Lesnar is a genuine combat sports athlete. Charlotte's not that. Roman maybe. No worries, Steve. No worries. Noob says, I'm still interested in Asuka versus Shayna. I think that will be something that they return to eventually. I just don't think they're ready for it just yet. I think as much as anything, they're going to keep Asuka and Shayna separated so that Asuka can't be destroyed like everyone else in Shayna's path at the moment. Shayna Baszler is squashing, she is mauling, she is destroying. Anyone who gets in her way is going to get squashed. So we've got to be careful with what we do there. Batman says, what happened to Cesaro? They ran out of ideas for him, basically. That's just it. They ran out of ideas and kind of forgot about him. AJ Styles and Omos will be challenging RK Bro for the Raw Tag Team Championships at Crown Jewel. They've been pushing this on Raw by having Randy Orton and Matt Riddle dodge Omos and distract him and then attack AJ Styles. They're taking advantage of the weak point. It is clever that they are doing that, and we will see more of that tonight. However, I feel this week is when Styles and Omos will get revenge. RK Bro are taking on the Street Profits tonight in a match that I'm very much looking forward to. But Omos will be lurking, and I think he'll be able to do a lot of very interesting and very brutalistic things to all four men involved. This, for me, is really quite clever booking. Damian Priest is the current United States champion. He's not booked for Crown Jewel. We didn't see him wrestle last week. I think we'll see him this week, but we won't see much of him. I think it'll be a backstage vignette, and that'll pretty much be it. Same can be said for Rhea Ripley and Nikki Cross. They are the women's tag team champions, but right now there is only actually one tag team championship, and that is the one held by Nikki Cross. Rhea Ripley has lost in transit her women's tag team championship belt. It may have been stolen, it may simply have been taken. We're not entirely sure as of yet, but right now she doesn't have her championship, and she's wearing Damian Priest's pants, which look good on her. They look good on her. The 24/7 Championship continues with Reginald. The whole point of the 24/7 Championship is to be TikTok friendly, and it will continue to be so. There's not much more I can say about that. It will continue to be so. Meanwhile, Goldberg and Bobby Lashley will both be in the house and in the arena for Monday Night Raw. They're going to threaten to murder each other again. That's basically it. That's basically it. Long as people are actually physically murdered. Bobby Lashley is apparently going to double down on the hope of retiring Goldberg tonight. That is what his promo is apparently going to be focused on. I will wait and see what actually happens, because I still have Goldberg winning the match in Saudi Arabia and going on to face Bobby Lashley again at either the Royal Rumble or, more likely, WrestleMania. We have a Queen's Crown tournament match. We've spoken about Shayna Baszler quite a bit. Doudrop is next in her sight. I think this match may be a little more even than the squashes we've seen previously, but I don't think Doudrop has much of a chance. Also in the King of the Ring, Xavier Woods against Jinder Mahal, and I genuinely struggle to work out who I think is going to win this. This is exciting. We don't know who's going to be heading into the final for King of the Ring against Finn Balor, and it's really interesting. It's genuinely interesting to see. Finally, we will see a continuation of the storyline between Mansoor and Mustafa Ali. We'll be seeing more of them essentially attacking each other and getting into the fight. My suspicion is that Mansoor will actually start to fight back this week, but we can't necessarily guarantee it, as we know. Mansoor is a very friendly, very nice person, and I don't necessarily know if he's the type to attack people, one, from behind, or two, at all. Just at all. Let's catch up with the chat. Jason says, do you think Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar will happen? That's a big money feud. I think it will happen. I think eventually the WWE will be able to convince Brock to have the match, mostly by giving him money. Also, I feel that Bobby Lashley's contract negotiation is going to be coming up soon, and he was told at his last one he would get Brock Lesnar. That's clearly not happened, so he may start to wonder why he's even still around. Steve says, what are your thoughts on the Karrion Kross rumours changing his gimmick already after just a couple of months on Raw? I will have more news on this for spoiler warning later on today, for anyone who doesn't know. My news show is called Spoiler Warning, and it is only available on twitch.tv/Tom Colohue. That's where it is live, so you can follow over there to watch it live tonight at 10 PM UK, that is 5 PM Eastern Standard Time. It is then broken down into smaller videos that go onto YouTube, so even if you're not a Twitch member, you can always watch on YouTube. You just get it a little bit later and not live. To basically recap what I've said already, the fact that Karrion Kross has had his gimmick changed several times on the main roster already is not a good sign. It shows that the creative team are throwing everything at the wall and hoping something sticks. Thus far, nothing has stuck for Karrion Kross. Nothing. I'm worried, basically. Riff says, Riddle reminds me a lot of RVD. He's definitely got that vibe. And by that vibe, I mean he barely knows what's going on most of the time. Anand says, do you think Dominic will turn on Ray? If so, when would be the ideal time? Maybe Rumble or on the last pay-per-view before WrestleMania, so we can get Dominic versus Ray at WrestleMania. I don't think anyone is going to turn on anyone. I think Dominic is going to suggest that maybe his dad does need to retire. And I think eventually they will have a match. But it'll be a match that after Dominic wins it, he hugs his father, they both cry, and then Rey Mysterio retires with his head held high. I think that is more likely than a turn per se. AK says, when is Randy going to turn on Riddle? Eventually. Eventually. That's the thing. There are very few tag teams in WWE that don't have everyone thinking, all right, but when they're going to break up? When's one going to attack the other? WWE have trained us to think this. They need to train us not to. Riffing says, was Bray Wyatt ever upset with Eric Rowan? I don't think it's possible to answer that. There is 1,000,001 possible permutations of that, so I don't think it's possible to answer that one, Riff. Also says, it's very possible that Shane McMahon might return to WWE to win the King or Queen of the Ring. To be fair, on Twitch we have a running joke. We accidentally summoned Shane McMahon last January. We kept talking about him and then he appeared. So we take credit and blame for Shane McMahon. And Batman says, can you see Bianca winning the Royal Rumble again? Yes, but not now. Not yet. Okay, that has been our Raw preview. We are starting to run dry on questions, so I'm going to wrap us up. We did a lovely long show yesterday, and I know quite a few people will have got a lot in there. So, a nice quick one for our preview. What I will say is there will not be a live show this Friday. This Friday I'm unfortunately going to a funeral. So I will not be doing a live show on YouTube this Friday. I'm intending to still do spoiler warning, but I will leave an alert there as it were. Hey Robs, how you doing, man? Thank you very much for following on Twitch as well. Ed says, Shane Summoners unite. Steve says, interesting idea that was presented to me. Mansoor and Ali reunite as a team after Crown Jewel, as Mansoor earns his respect after winning. Would you be in favour of this? I would. I really like them as a tag team. I'm happy that they were drafted as a unit to SmackDown. I think they could have a real impact. Mansoor and Ali versus the Usos or the New Day could be great fun. I actually really like that idea and it's something I want to see. And Alyssa says, wish Bianca Belair wins the title. I don't think it's happening tonight, but I think she will be a champion again, probably around SummerSlam next year. So we are going to wrap up there. I will see you again YouTube only on Sunday. If you do have Twitch, by all means follow at twitch.tv/Tom Colohue for more live shows. We'll be watching Raw live tonight and you can check that out as well. And then beginning December, so a month and a half away, once I'm no longer part of the sports team, we will be doing live watch parties for Raw and SmackDown on both Twitch and YouTube as well. So you can definitely check those out. In the meantime, I've been Tom Colohue. I hope everyone enjoys Raw. You've been fantastic. And I will see you all very soon.